Good evening, ladies and gents. If you can hear my voice and you can see my screen, please do raise your hand on the Zoom application so that we know that we're in business. If you can see my screen and you can hear my voice, please do raise your hand on the Zoom app. Brilliant hands coming in. Evening, ladies and gents, Njabulo and Nsibande here. It is the 8th of December. This is our last Follow the Trader series for the year. Simon has some power issues at his apartment, so he won't be joining us. So we'll see him back next year. So we will be back on the 12th of Jan. I think that will be the second week of Jan. So we'll be back with the series, but today is the last one. And thank you guys very much for joining us every Wednesday. This has been great fun for the year, and yeah, man, don't forget to sign up on the VillageTrader newsletter. Also the XNES platform, using the banner on the website as well. So Simon, has no position in the market. But the FTSE 100 triggered a buy today, but it hasn't confirmed as yet. So we're going to see if it's going to confirm later today, at the close, excuse me, tomorrow. Let's see what that, if that confirms. I also have, let me bring that this side. The laser system triggered on, so I'm trading the laser system on the global indices. Guys, if you do have questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box and the chat box as we go along. So I'm long the DEX. So this is where I was triggered. This was the trigger candle. It had only confirmed there as it was closed. It didn't close above that candle until a couple of days ago. Yeah, a couple of days ago. So slipping back below that 50-day exponential moving average. My stop losses that closed below that 60-day exponential moving average. I do have a buy trigger on S&P 500. So we got triggered yesterday. I'm waiting for a close above, what is it, 4690. In fact, what was the close yesterday? 4693. So we're waiting for a close above 4693, at which point it will confirm, and I'll pop you an email if you subscribe to the newsletter. Again, also on the Nasdaq. Also, triggering a buy there, waiting for a confirmation on the lazy. Otherwise, the rest of the so that buy trigger does not count because the 30 is still below the 60, so we're still bearish there on the Australian 2000, rather on the Australian 200. A similar case with the DAX. Asian markets also quite bearish at the minute. Japan as well, also bearish. Europe also bearish at the moment. It looks like it's turning the tide. So I want I want the 15 to be also above both the 30 and the 60. So that buy trigger there doesn't count. So I'm going to have to wait for that 15-day exponential moving average to come back above the 30 as well, and the price to revert back to that 15-day exponential moving average. Yeah, so that buy there also had that same problem, didn't count because the 15-day exponential moving average is still below. It looked like it's crossing, but I'm sure we'll have some pullback back to that 15-day exponential moving average at some point in the future, at which point that will trigger a buy. US 30, similarly, the 30 was above the 60, so we ignored that buy there, and the 15-day exponential moving average was still below. And I think we'll only the US market, the US 30 will only start to get interesting. I think this is the Dow 30, above the 36,384 level. So if you can get through that, I think we'll start to see this market run. But for now, not so much. The I believe this is the tech run since we're looking at that Nasdaq. So that's it. So if this confirms, I'll pop you an email. And guys, remember, if you register with XNES via the promo link that we have on the show notes description on YouTube and also on the VillageTrader website, there's a banner there. If you register via that link, you will get your trading cost back. I think up to 40% of your trading costs back. So looking back into equities, I got stopped out on. On Coronation this morning. I suspect there was a dividend because I saw here I had less money, but I suspect there was dividends. If anyone has some ideas on what happened today, please pop us a message on the chat box, on the Q&A box, on what happened on Coronation. So I got stopped out there. These dividends always catch me off guard. I need to work on improving that. So looking at the open trades, I took a trade on apps as it broke out through that resistance there, back above that 50-day exponential moving average with a gap and drive, built up a position with a 1% risk, waiting for a close through that 158, at which point I'll add to my raise my stop and add to my position. I believe somewhere around here, but we'll see the price action between then and now. Yeah, Marlo caught me there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Marlo confirmed there was dividends there on Coronation. So I did get the dividend, but I lost out on I lost the stock, which is okay. I'll jump back in once. Coronation has always been a good dividend payer. Aspen, we had that nice doji there when it triggered. It triggered me in when it broke through that resistance there, coming back above that 50-day exponential moving average. Came back to retest the support. Came back to retest the support after the doji, nice doji there, slipping back below that 50-day exponential moving average. But yeah, let's see if we can bounce back over the next few weeks before everybody goes on holiday. Astral Foods, still a tug of war around that 50-day exponential moving average, going lower slowly. So once it breaks back above that 186 level, I'll raise my stop loss to just below the traffic there around 187. I will not add to my position. I'll just reduce my risk on this position. AVI, I think I'll get stopped on AVI fairly soon over the next couple of days. Yeah, I think I'll get stopped on unless a miracle happens. Yeah, I think I'll get stopped on AVI. Balo looks like it's having some sellers there around that 152 level. If those sellers step aside, I'll either raise my stop loss to that 137 or that 145. But I think 137 is a much, safer level with a space between. And that stop loss will be above my last entry price, at which point I'll add to the position on Balo World. That's still Balo. Bidvest. That looking fairly good. Looks like it's starting to build up in a symmetrical triangle pattern with a battle or around that 50-day exponential moving average. So if we can break through the triangle pattern, that would be lekker. But we'll see. Looks like the stock is just going absolutely nowhere slowly. Capitec came back. So it just closed right at the resistance there. So I'll wait for another green close, perhaps tomorrow. If we can get a green close, nice bullish engulfing candle there. If we can get another green close, maybe tomorrow, I'll raise my stop loss to around 1805. I won't be adding to the position as my last entry point my stop loss was still below my last entry point. I'll start adding once my stop loss is above. And I think once we can break that 1910 resistance, will run up. If you take that range there as projected upwards, we can we can probably reach that 2100 level as a target. Richmond, looking good, broke through that minor resistance, I'd call it, yesterday. I raised my stop to just below the gap there. And I think if you can take out those lows, I don't want to be on the stock, but I don't want to be too overly aggressive on my stop loss. So for now, raise it to that 225, securing a slight bit of profit on Richmond. Clicks. Looking pretty good, testing that resistance, that what is it, let me zoom in, 298 resistance there. If you can, which held as support previously, but if it looks like it's busy testing it, but if we can take it out, I'll raise my stop to just below that 50-day exponential moving average. I'm around 284, and but a level that I'm looking for breakout at is that 306. I think if we can take out the 306, we're off to the races. And it looks like it might form a giant head and shoulders pattern there as a continuation pattern on clicks, looking not too bad. Just cam looking fairly okay-ish. I think this looks like a bullish flag. Looks like a bullish flag. Let's see. Yeah, nice looking bullish flag there. It looked like it was breaking out of the flag today, but we'll see over the next couple of days. But I'm waiting for a new high close above, right at the top of the flag. Right at the top of the flag, they around 35 rand. So if you can take out 35 rand, yeah, I'll raise my stop to just below those lows there. I think what's going to happen, it will break, retest that 35, come back to retest the upper end of that resistance. What is resistance currently, but I think it will come back to hold it as support, doing something of this sort. Where's my arrow? Before then properly breaking out. I've seen this pattern with bullish flags happen quite often. So I think we will get that break above that 35 rand level. I think the vaccine rollout will play a role, and I think when people go to Discam or clicks for vaccination, you know, picking up a snack or two, those will come back into revenue numbers, and I think that will propel the stock upward. Glencore forming a nice ascending triangle pattern there, looking fairly good with that 80 rand serving as resistance. So I'm going to wait for a break above that 17 rand resistance, but I think there's still going to be some pullback, perhaps around that 70 rand level to bounce back off. There, it's just that, no man, that. Something resembling this. And then if you're looking for a target on Glencore with that breakout, you can take the width of the ascending triangle from its broadest point and simply just project that upward, which gives you a price target of, just reduce that a little bit, a price target of around 91 rand, looking like a decent setup, really. I'm holding that 50-day exponential moving average. It's been holding that 50-day exponential moving quite nicely, but it looks like if you wanted to ride this trend, you must give some room away from that 50-day exponential moving average, and not be too close to the 50-day exponential moving average. But I'm liking the price action happening here on Glencore. Marlo mentioned that Investec paid a dividend, which it did gap at the open, but recovered all of that, coming back into a higher box, looking quite good. So when it broke through, entering the higher box, I raised my stop to just below that candle there, somewhere eating with that wig. So I'm not in a. Once I find myself in a winning position, I try not to be too I try not to be too aggressive with my stop loss. So that I stay with the trade for as long as possible. But if we make a new high close there, I will raise my stop to around 79 Rand, at which point that will be above my last entry point and probably add to my position. But I'll watch my the price action on Investec quite closely to determine a new entry there. I think Investec is my second biggest position at the moment, behind MTN. Monday broke out of that ascending triangle pattern, coming back to retest that old resistance. Looking fairly decent. I think we'll see a bounce back tomorrow, with a short-term target of around 407 and a further dated further forward target of around 426. But as you guys know, I don't take targets and stops on stocks, but we'll see. Still looking fairly distant. Hopefully we won't see that happening. We'll see a breakout there on Monday. MTN is moving like textbook, moving quite nicely at the minute. Let's get rid of that, no longer relevant at this point. Forming a nice ascending triangle, bouncing off that support line, almost like textbook, looking quite good. We're going to wait for a close back above that 170 level. So if we can break 170, instead of raising my stop loss to 158, I'll raise it to 153 just to give it a little bit, a bit of room, and then I'll add. I think I'll be adding about 7-8% risk on this position, looking quite healthy at the moment. I think if I raise it to 153, my profit will be. Let me just quickly crunch that. Okay, so if I raise my stop loss to 150, my profit will be 57%, which means I'll be adding about 5% risk on this trade. Looking quite, I'm liking price action on MTN at the moment. Royal Bafokeng looking quite good. It was a subject of some acquisitions the past couple of weeks. Northern and Impala, I think both getting a stake in there. Looking quite good. So I'm going to wait for a close through that 170, 165 rather, as it moves into a higher box to raise my stop loss to around 147 and add to my position. Sasso hit the target on the falling wedge, moving to the broke out there, moving quite nicely, sharply through, hitting that 298 target. So how you place the target on the falling wedge, the target is the highest point of the wedge, which it hit yesterday. So I'm still in the trade, looking quite lacquer. If you can break through that 298 level, I'll raise my stop probably to that inverse hammer there, around 240, 274, and add to my position, as my stop loss will be above that last entry point there. Citrix 40. So I got triggered on a buy there, which confirmed the very next day. So looking quite good. It broke that resistance. I think we're off to the races on the top 40 generally, and particularly subsequently on the Citrix 40 as a result. My stop loss is the close through that 30-day exponential moving average. So you're going to have to wait for the market to come back, which is a fair distance away, and 6220 is just my emergency stop loss, just in case I miss the market. ShopRite, it moved into a higher box yesterday, coming back below. Let me just get rid of that quickly. Coming back below, into the lower box. I raised my stop to that 194 level. I think I'd raised my profit ever so slightly to just 0.5%. Looking quite lekker, but I'll be monitoring its entrance into the higher box. And last but not least is Telkom. Looking fairly decent. Looking quite good. So I'm waiting for a close back above that 56 Rand level, and then I'll raise my stop to 51 Rand, and wait for my stop to get it back above the 56 Rand level to add to my position. And that's about it from my end. If you guys have some questions, some chat requests that you have, feel free to pop them up in the Q&A box. The video will be up in a few hours on YouTube. And I'll tweet it fairly a few hours later. If there's no questions, it's cool if we park it here. But if you guys have some chat requests, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. And as I said at the top, when we started out, thank you guys very much for joining us every Wednesday. You guys have been a great part of my growth and of my progress. Marlo, you're very welcome, and thank you for just being part of this experience the past couple of years since we started in 2020. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying being with you guys every Wednesday. It's been great fun. And I really appreciate, man, just, sacrificing half hour to an hour of your time just to hang with me, just talking markets and looking at charts and that sort of thing. With that being said, if there's no question, guys, have a great festive season. Have a blessed Christmas and have a blessed 2022 to come. We'll do this again next year. Guys, have a great one. Have a great evening. Cheers.